The aim of Black Mental Matters is to tell experiences with honesty. Therefore, some discussions may trigger an adverse reaction. If a discussion is beginning to upset you, we advise that you please stop listening and talk to your support team.
Boys and girls, once again, back and black. It's Vince the Voice and Coach Makeba Reed Johnson. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing pretty good, Vince. Doing pretty good. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Glad to be here with you on Black Mental Matters. Again, we thank everyone, who has been listening and tuning in, and hopefully have helped in some situations, getting feedback, getting requests for guests. And we encourage you also, if you'd like to see a video version of this, go to YouTube and you'll get to see Coach Makeba's pretty face.
And Vince the Voice's amazing smile.
Can't help it. Can't help it. Unfortunately, not a lot to smile about. When we talk about solutions, perhaps, but do want to let everyone know we're going to be talking about a very serious topic on this episode, the topic of suicide. So if if it's a little too much, we encourage you, to do some research for yourself. And but we definitely have an issue in our community, in the broader community right now, with suicide, second leading cause of death for youths ages 10 to 19 years old. And the rate amongst Black kids has been increasing faster than any other racial or ethnic group. And we definitely have to address this if we're talking about mental health, Makeba.
No, absolutely. And I think just looking back on maybe the past 15, 20 years, just how the bullying epidemic has changed. I remember back in 2009, a child by the name of Jaheim Herrera. He was a fifth grader in DeKalb County. He passed away, unfortunately, by suicide because he was being bullied. And back then, the mom, I actually met her. I went to her son's vigil, and it gave me such a personal view of the pain that family was experiencing, and at the same time they were trying to find answers, get justice, get legislation changed, so that this doesn't continue to happen. So I'm really glad that we're talking about this today, because I think we need to also look at this in the context of, is bullying getting better? Are these laws that have been put into place, are they effective? And if they are, why? And if they aren't, why not? And, where do we go from here?
It's a tragedy whether it happens to anyone, but especially when we're talking about our young people. Again, full transparency, I lost my dad and my oldest brother to suicide, and quite devastating, no doubt about it. Purpose for us even moving forward and doing things like Black Mental Matters. But when you're talking about your child, when you're talking about a teen, I mean, you have to even think what would even cause a young person to attempt suicide. And you mentioned one of the big ones, and that is bullying. And with the internet age, TikToks and Facebooks and things like that, bullying is not like it used to be when we were young, when, it'd be there in the lunchroom or something in the bathroom. Now you could be at home and you're being, what is it called, cyberbullied?
Right. Yes, absolutely. So the whole context of bullying and what it has actually changed through the last few years. And here in Georgia, we do have anti-bullying laws that have been passed, and there are legislation that's in place that does require every school to have some type of policy in place. However, a lot of those policies aren't enforced. And there is, oftentimes just lack of just accountability of just, where does the ball stop? Does it stop with social media? Does it stop with parents? Where do we hold this, or where do we place this quote unquote blame? So that's why this is important to have this conversation, because the answer is going to be not in how do you punish, bullies, or how do you get, justice for a person that's tragically lost their life, through bullying, from bullying via suicide. But what are some things that we can do on the front end to try to prevent this and like actually start taking steps where we're not just talking about this, but we're actually doing something?
Well, the question first comes to mind is what would even cause a young person? We're talking about bullying, that's definitely, but also just the fact, even before bullying, the fact that teen years is just a stressful time. Major changes in their life, body changes, changes in thoughts, changes in feelings, strong feelings of stress, confusion, fear, and doubt can affect the teen's problem solving and decision making. Also feel pressure to succeed. You want them to do well. And what if they're just having really, really tough time with math? Even preteen children can be affected. And for some preteens and teens, normal developmental changes can be very unsettling when combined with other things like changes in the family. The parents get divorced, siblings moving out, moving to a new town, changes in friendship, stress again from social media, problems in school. I mean, just on and on. So our young people definitely are at risk. It's not something parents perhaps that you did or anything like that. It's a lot of factors hitting our young people these days.
Yes, absolutely. And, not just youth, but specifically Black youth
Yeah.
have been increasingly at greater risk at suicide. Black youth st- Black youth statistics, suicide statistics are reporting that Black youths are 73% more likely to have a suicide attempt at the age of range between 5 and 12.
Mm.
So the age is getting younger. So that's why we're talking about this now, because not only is youth suicide up, but Black youth suicide is up statistically in alarming numbers. And it's a call to action for a lot of organizations that are looking at these numbers in alarm and are saying, okay, because it's not getting better, the suicide age range is getting younger for Black youth. What are we going to do about this?
Unfortunately, too, gotta say it, very few research dollars these days have been committed by entities. And of course, now we got these cuts everywhere. But the resource dollars are not being committed by our organizations that are meant to help us in this instance, like the National Institutes of Health, the National Institute of Mental Health, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, better known as SAMHSA, to investigate why this is happening. And as a result, if we don't have the research and have access to data and funding, it's almost like you're on your own, little man. And we can't leave our kids on your own, little man.
Yeah, no, we can't, because we have to stay involved and we have to try to get ahead of this. And I actually, I was trying to find just resources for parents and just trying to find information on just legislatively what, specifically what school legislators are trying to do. And I read something where two data points were being given, and one of them was the suggestion of for children to quote unquote stay away from places where bullying happens, and also quote to stay near adults and other kids, because most bullying happens when adults aren't around. And just that language right there does not include social media. So, and also that kind of gives just the context of sometimes how out of touch we as adults can be, and not even realize it, because you know and I hate to say it, for the most part, like when you are a kid and you're in school and there's all this pressure around you from other kids, you have the feeling that kids run the school. The adults aren't running anything. The kids are running the school, because that's where your social life is. So that's why we're talking about this. And that's why also this is so hard, because now that bullying that started off in the classroom is now spilling out into home and the weekend, and there's no cutoff, there's no summer break. It's just this online and in-person bullying.
Well, I mean, you started it out with saying stay away from places where bullying takes place. That's everywhere. I mean, what that means? Don't go to school. Don't go to the bathroom. Don't go to the game. Don't go to the movies. Don't go to the mall. What then? What is a kid to do? That's again why this research and then and stories. So not to. This is our attempt, but there needs to be so much more of discussion about this so that then young people, I mean, even have it in their heads. No, I shouldn't be bullying other kids because that can be really, really detrimental to them. Um, we're all in this thing together. Would you say there's only one race, different cultures, but only one race. We're all in this thing together. So we have got to learn how to deal and live with one another, whether you skinny, tall, freckles, because you know how silly it can be when you're a kid. You got that wart on your face, and people can make such a big thing about that this kid never wants to come out the house again, or could even go as far. I mean, we've got some examples of some things close to us, beyond our families, our friends, our groups that we're in. It is affecting a lot of people.
Yes, it is. And you asked a question of where do kids go, because bullying is everywhere. And statistically, 160,000 kids skip school in the US every day.
Wow.
To avoid being bullied.
Wow.
Yes.
Say that again. 160,000 just to avoid, not the ones that's going off to smoke a little something and hang out. 160,000 just to avoid being bullied.
Yes. 160,000 children stay home each day in the US to avoid being bullied. And on top of that, there's a correlation between bullying and higher rates of aggression, higher rates of criminality in their late teens and 20s. So this is not just about getting bullying under control just to protect people that are being bullied, but to also try to address, hey, what's really going on here? Because it's not just the impact of the person, that's in that space where that is actually occurring, but people that survive being bullied, they have mental health conditions that can lead to other health conditions for the rest of their lives if they're not treated.
Boys, the rate is higher for boys, but girls are not that far behind. There's a lot of pressure on our young ladies out here now. The whole online influencer industry, the OnlyFans. I was just reading about these OnlyFans models are now becoming idols to young girls. So everybody's trying to be curvy, dervy, super fine and all this kinds of things. And it's really causing a lot of confusion and a lot of pain for young people if they're thinking that that's the only way that I'm going to be successful is if I look like, do like, make money like this person here.
Right. And what it also does, it doesn't address the mindset of the person or the people that are doing the bullying.
Right.
So individuals that are in this space that are working to try to do mentoring and volunteering and to create safe spaces for children, they actually are now advocating preventative programs and putting the emphasis on community support, volunteering, and they're saying that part of the problem is that we're not talking to students collectively about what it feels like to be bullied, because 98% of kids are wired for empathy and they have a profound sense of fairness. And if that is addressed at an early age, where you're putting a child in another child's shoes, where they can tap into empathy before it's not cool anymore, that's how you get children in this space of also being allies for each other, where school is more inclusive.
Yes. And it makes me think about, again, I'm over the age of 60 now, but when I was young, there was always some adults around. We had lots of activities. We played Little League baseball. We kickball. We had all kinds of things that we were doing. We were at the pavilion playing ping pong, at the swimming pool, but there were always adults there. And of course, there were some bullies in our groups, in our cliques, in our neighborhoods and everything. But as you said, empathy, there would always be someone who would pull you off to the side and say, no, that ain't going to happen, that kind of thing. I like to think that I kind of took on that role when I was in school. I remember some, the nerds and folks picking on them, and I would make sure, no, you leave him alone, and those nerds, if you don't realize it, those nerds turn out to be your boss later on in life,
Yes.
I did kind of get that early on.
Nerds rule. Yeah.
Nerds rule, but our youth still at risk for suicide. The age, the gender, the social influences. I mean, don't even bring into the picture substance abuse, behaviors, impulsive behaviors, family history of mental or substance abuse, a family history of suicide. I'm not going to kid you, because it affected someone in my family. Not that I thought they had the ideation about it, but it does run through your mind for those who have actually, been, close to someone who committed suicide. Those that have had a past suicide attempt, we really got to be put our arms around those. Having guns in the house could also be a part of that. So there are steps and things that we can do, Makeba, to help avoid this happening to as many families as it is now.
Yes, yes. And part of having something to do and having action points is, I think, to really talk about the impact of bullying. What a lot of people don't realize is that bullying actually impacts something called brain architecture, where it's impacting the way that your brain is actually developed. Because what's happening when that youth is experiencing bullying is that you are experiencing shame, rejection, humiliation, and you're experiencing at an age where your brain is not completely formed. So it actually changes the brain structure of youth, where they can see it on MRI scans. So that's why this is so important, to start having conversations about mental health with your kids as soon as they can talk. Start talking about depression, start talking about anxiety, start talking about mental health, start talking about bullying, start talking about empathy. These are things that you have to talk about before they're an issue.
That's right. That's right. Because one of the things that we say it all the time, but I don't think we really get it in our psyche, is that they're kids. They're still developing.
Yeah.
They're still growing. And I mean that in every sense of their lives. They're kids. They're going to make mistakes. We made mistakes when we were young. Thank God that there was someone there to say, oh, it's okay. Just dust yourself off and you can come back from this. But for a kid, if there's no one there, then it's all encompassing. It's all encompassing that I got these pimples on my face and they will not go away. And Billy Bob over here keep messing with me about it, and I'm gonna have to do something to him or else, something like that. It's just, all encompassing for them. They're kids.
Right, right. And when you're thinking about, an 11-year-old, and they're in school, and then they're in summer school, and there's no break from these bullies, and then they're at home, and then the bullying is online. They're like, what do you tell them? Oh, well, you'll be out of school when you're 18. Like what's the conversation for that child? I think it would be a great idea if we could have, therapy available to kids before they need it, just in terms of just education, where a child knows, okay, if they've been sad 3, 4, 5, days, weeks in a row, and they can't identify why they're sad, to be able to talk about that with someone before it's a mental health concern. I think we're not talking about mental health with our kids at an early enough age.
No doubt about it. And recently there was a cartoon, and I'll admit, I love this cartoon, Inside Out 1 and 2. I don't know if you are familiar, Inside Out. I sat there and watched that thing. I was like, oh my God. Like, but you know, they had all these different feelings in their mind, you know, the anger, the happy, sad, that kind of thing. And so, Makeba, I'm feeling a curriculum for young people that, you know, you present it to them in you know, a way that they can digest, but at least it starts them to thinking about their emotions and their feelings, and give them some ways that they can then express those things without it being harmful, and of course without it going to the ultimate situation of suicide for our young people.
Yes, Vince, I'm so glad that you brought out Inside Out 1 and 2, and you just earned some cool points. Just the fact that you've seen that movie. That has been my go to when I try to explain to people the importance of feeling all of your emotions, even anxiety and sadness, which were the stars of 1 and 2. Just how, when you are feeling those emotions, what it's supposed to feel like, how to manage emotions, how to not be swept up by your emotions, to be able to observe your emotions and not let them, overtake you. Those are skills that you can actually learn as a kid. So I like where you're going with this, how that could be a curriculum. I always thought that it could be a curriculum based on Pixar's Inside Out 1 and 2, just in how they laid out just the importance of being sad, sitting with sadness, the role of sadness, and also how anxiety can be functional.
Very, very good. So we may have to put our names, you know, down on some paper and say, "Hey, we got this great curriculum." But there are warning signs that parents and caretakers and teachers can look for: feelings of sadness, hopeless, or loneliness, declining school performance. You know, she was getting A's and now she's C minuses. Loss of interest in social and sporting activities, sleeping too much or too little, changes in weight or appetite, nervousness, agitation, or grouchiness. There are things that you see these warning signs, then it's time to take some action. Take your friends, talk to them about suicide seriously. If you hear of a young person ever saying that, I mean, immediately you're supposed to call. Now it's 988. I mean, right? If someone says, "Man, I just don't," you jump to action right then. Isn't that right, Makeba?
Oh, no, absolutely. You should never disregard or minimize someone's expression of not wanting to be here anymore or feeling like life is too heavy. But you also need to make sure that you've got support when you are supporting someone else, because it can be heavy. So that you just need to make sure that you have access to resources, and not just stuff on social media. I'm talking about therapists. I'm talking about mentors. I'm talking about adults that are in the mental health space that are advocating for change and advocacy and things like that. So yes, 100%.
Encourage your friend to seek expert help. Go with the friend if needed. Go with them. Don't leave your friend alone, not even for a moment, until a responsible adult is with them. Talk right away with an adult that they trust about their friend. You know, if your friend is saying something, go. Hey, ain't no such thing as snitches. Snitches don't get stitches, and all that is mess. You go tell somebody that Sally, Bobby, Jamal, Tawan, whoever their name is, call or text the 988. I'm so happy. Now we got to really utilize this. I understand there's some budget cuts around this as well, but that 988. If anyone has suicidal thoughts, a suicide plan, and the means to carry it out, you need to call that and let them know immediately.
Yes, yes, and you just brought up budget cuts, which makes me also think about one reason why the bullying epidemic is so bad. According to researchers and scientists and mental health professionals, they're also attributing it to the current political environment where bullying is tolerated on the political platform, and it's encouraged and it's unchecked. And so they're saying that that is also bleeding into this mindset of, hey, bullying is okay, or asserting power and dominance over someone who you think is weaker than you is okay, because they're seeing others do it. And these researchers are saying it's important for parents to sit and talk to their children about what's appropriate and what's not appropriate in the world that they're viewing, so that their kids know that these actions have an impact on individuals' mental health.
Yes, yes, and that's the disappointing, uh, it's hard. It's hard to explain to a kid when you see that this person who is nothing less than a bully and appears successful and appears like they're in charge and everything is under control. How do you tell your kid that that's not okay? It's like, well, you're telling me that my goal is to get a house, get a car, get all this. That's what they got, and that's how they got it. So that's how I need to be as well. No, that's not it. That is
Right.
not it.
No, it's not. And that's why also community involvement is important. I encourage, if you can't do anything, the least you can do is find out the elementary school or middle school in your school district and just get on the list as a parent liaison, as a parent volunteer, as a community volunteer. There's so much that can be done in our own communities. And I think that sometimes we lose sight of where we want the change to be because we're so busy being online. Our community is outside our front door and down the street. And when you impact and you can touch your neighbor and people that are right in front of you, that's when you're making change.
I want to, Makeba, just open up, and I know we don't have a whole lot of time, but someone in our circle recently, there's a family that was affected by this. The young lady and her dad now is on a mission to create awareness and prevention. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So recently, we found out that someone tragically that's affiliated with our fight club at Buckhead Fight Club, unfortunately passed away because she was being bullied online. And so this is something that is hitting home really close to us. And it's really showing us the importance of being there for this family, and also being able to see people at Buckhead Fight Club come together to try to put something together in her memory to bring awareness to this cause. So you should be able to find that information on buckheadfightclub.com. Yeah, so that's why it's so important to talk about this, because another form of bullying that's not active, it's more passive, is ghosting individuals. So that's a harder type of bullying to even prove, because that's the act of a collective group of individuals, students that were formerly friends of a child, just all of a sudden, getting on board and saying, we are not going to communicate with this person. We're going to act like this person does not exist. So that has crushed children in this space. So that's why we're talking about this, because the impact that it has on kids, it's treacherous on the brain, it's treacherous on the spirit, it's treacherous on the mind, because they don't feel like they have anything or anybody left. So that's why we're talking about that's why we're bringing awareness to it, and that's why we're going to keep on advocating for change and awareness for youth and to give them resources.
You say the term was called ghosting, just basically ignoring that person as if they don't even exist anymore, collectively, like we all decided that's what we're going to do.
Yes, right. And that's happened to some children that were at one time popular, because quote unquote mean girls or mean kids know exactly how to hurt each other. So because they're not aware of their actions, they don't know, that no one's telling them, hey, number one, you are committing a crime according to law, but even worse than that, you are damaging this person for the rest of their lives in a way that you will never even be aware of. So that's why we have to talk about this.
We have to talk about it. And I think it'll be important for your child. And mine are grown now, but if this was an issue, I think if my child, they need emergency numbers, they use that phone for everything else. They need the emergency numbers in their phone. That would include numbers to their parents, other trusted adults, healthcare providers, 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at 9888 or 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-TALK, where you can be connected to a trained counselor, part of the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline Network. Online chats also available. This young lady's dad is working at, I think you said, on an app to help. We've got to be there for our kids, everybody. We got to turn these numbers around. And I'm just thankful, Makeba, that you wanted to shine a light on this. I don't care what month it is. It could be Mother's Month, Daddy's Month, Black Men Month, whatever month. It's always kids' moment, right? Not no month, not no week, not no day. We have to be there for our kids. And that's why we were put here on this earth. So thank you so much, Makeba. And again, we thank you for locking in with us here at Black Mental Matters. Again, you can listen. We urge you to subscribe so you can get the new episodes as they drop. Spotify, TuneIn, Apple Podcasts. You can see the live video on YouTube and so much more. So, Makeba, any final words tonight?
I just wanted to tell parents, don't be afraid to start talking to your kids. If you have young kids or even like preteens, a great start is to take them to see, not take them to see, I'm showing you how old I am, is to sit in your house and stream Inside Out 1 and 2. Have that conversation.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Black Mental Matters.